Matthew chapter 4, verse 18 and 19, we read, And Yeshua, walking by the Sea of Galilee, saw two brothers, Shimon called Kepha, and Andrew his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And he said to them, Follow me, and I shall make you fishers of men. Is that just good preaching material? The message of salvation? Or is there something else being said? Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 4 of the Torah portion of Vayiki. Let's go now a little further in Bereshit or Genesis chapter number 48, and let's bring up verse number 11 and following. And Israel said to Joseph, I had not thought to see your face, but see, Elohim has shown me your seed. So Joseph brought them, that would be Manasseh and Ephraim, from between his knees, and he bowed down with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim with his right hand toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh with his left hand toward Israel's right hand, and brought them near him. And Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it on Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand on Manasseh's head, consciously, wittingly. The word is sakal or sakal in Hebrew. It means to be prudent, to act with wisdom, to act circumspectly, to act carefully. So this was not something that was haphazardly or casually done, but very, very intentionally. Consciously directing his hands, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, The Elohim before whom my fathers Abraham and Yitzhak walk, the Elohim who has fed me all my life, long to this day, the messenger who has redeemed me from all evil, bless the youths. And let my name be called upon them in the name of my fathers Abraham and Yitzhak, and let them increase to a multitude in the midst of the earth. And we'll pause there, but we'll continue in just a few moments. So in this visit that we talked about yesterday, Joseph has his two sons. He places them in such a way that the right hand of Israel or Yaakov would be laid upon his eldest son Manasseh. His left hand would be laid upon the head of the younger son Ephraim. The right hand is the preferred hand of blessing. It is a greater blessing. Israel crosses his hands, lays the right hand on Ephraim's head, the left hand on Manasseh's head, and Joseph sees it and says, No, Daddy, you got it wrong. But his father was doing things exactly right. He was speaking prophetically. And we caught a clue of this yesterday when we talked about the city of Luz. Seemingly out of nowhere, Yaakov mentions Luz, the city that is now known as Bethel. It just so happens that Luz references, among some things, it can reference an almond or an almond tree. If you will remember, in the construction of the menorah, it is to reference an almond tree. The branches that come up are buds and then flowers and knots, bowls that look like an opened almond. In Jeremiah chapter 1, it's a different word, but the referencing is the same. In chapter 1 of Jeremiah, the prophet is asked, What do you see? He said, I see an almond tree. You see correctly. So the beginning of prophecy for the prophet Jeremiah was a vision of the almond tree. The almond tree is the first tree in Israel to bud in the changing of the seasons. It's an indication that spring is coming, but it's also, I'm told, the last to actually produce fruit. So it is an early sign of a later event, prophetically speaking. Aaron, Moshe's brother, his rod was an almond tree rod. It was laid in the presence of Yah, and overnight it budded, sprouted branches, and then almonds miraculously. So it is a sign of authority. It is a sign of acceptance. It is a sign of prophecy. And here we're given this lose indication. So it's an indication to us something prophetic is getting ready to happen. Well, it just did. When Joseph brings these two sons, Yah elevates them through Yaakov to first generation status, pronounces tribal blessings upon them. And then in verse 16, we read this: let them increase to a multitude in the midst of the earth. Now, some of you are saying, Barry, I already know all of this. Hold with me, because there are others who are hearing this for the first time. The wording here is Vayi Dagu Larav. Now, I know that went right by many of you, but listen again. Vayi, that is, let them become. Dagu, dag is for the word fish in Hebrew. Let them become a multitude of fish, Larav, in the earth. So there is an understanding here that they are going to multiply in their future generations like schools of fish that are innumerable. It says in the earth. Yeshua then, when he came in Matthew 4, and he called men to be fishers of men, it wasn't just that we're going looking for converts. No, there are fish out there. They are prophetic fish, men, people that are belonging to the tribes of Manasseh and Ephraim, and we're going to go look for them and cast nets for them. Now, here in America, predominantly we fish with a hook on a line. In their culture, it was the casting of nets. And so we're not trying to hook somebody, which has a negative connotation, but cast a net for them and pull them to the shore. That is, that we're trying to rescue them from the seas of humanity. Then it says in verse, let's see if I can find this. Yes, verse 19. And when Joseph protested about the placing of the hands, the father refused and said, I know, my son, I know. He that is Manasseh becomes a people, a singular people, and he is great. And yet his younger brother is greater than he, and his seed is to become the completeness of the nations. This is what we read about in the book of Romans, chapter number 11, verse 25. Rav Shaul, talking about the grafting into the olive tree, he says, for I do not wish you to be ignorant of this secret, brothers, lest you should be wise in your own estimation, that hardening in part has come over Israel until the completeness of the nations has come in, the fullness of the Goyim. That is, that there is a hardening, a prevention of sight, a prevention of the heart being rightly affected until all of Ephraim has been brought in. Why are you and I being attracted to the Torah? Why are we being drawn back to the commands, to looking at things Hebraically? Why were we not satisfied and content to be where we were? Why were we being led down this place? It is a prophetic revelation being brought to pass in our lives. Whether we can claim a bloodline or not, that's non-consequential. It is the heart. Yah is calling us because our heart is that of Ephraim. We've been sown among the nations. Yah is pulling us, healing us, redeeming us, and bringing us back to be a part of the fullness of the nations, coming back to Yah, coming back to his commands, coming back to the house of Joseph. Joseph's double portion blessings and his house is now being realized in our lives. You are strategic and significant. Live like it today. We'll finish tomorrow. To then, shalom.